Everyone, RemanX here, and we're going to talk about the top 5 reasons to play MSF. If you guys are just checking it out for the first time, we're going to talk about the top 5 reasons not to, and we're going to go into realistically what I think is probably a very, very controversial subject. Is it's free to play friendly? I know. Before you guys start throwing the rotten fruit at me, we're going to go right into the reason why I think it's free to play friendly, and it's because largely the offers are pretty obnoxious. They're expensive. Expensive offers mean that the barrier for entry, there's a lot more, when people understand value, there's a lot more people not buying offers, so that distribution of power stays very, very in a small percentage of the populace. And when that happens, well, the trickle down effect, oh God, I hate these analogies. The trickle down effect is realistically one of the better free to play elements. The fact that characters remain meta for a long time. You know, you can still use Magneto, who's 2 years old, in a Premier War offense team. You still have him in some arena shards. You're looking at Phoenix as a premier character that is still usable in a lot of game modes, and we're talking about 2 years of separation. There isn't a lot of games that feature characters in that regard. So if you make an investment in time or money, you can get paid in dividends. There are some top players that have been playing a game for a while that realistically are among the top players in the game. And you guys may have heard me talk about it, but I played in Cabal with a free-to-play player for quite a long time. That being said, we're going to talk about the other end of that coin. The reason why you shouldn't, top reason, is if you're just starting this game, it's going to feel daunting. The catch-up mechanics, understanding the path to power, building a character to the end game, understanding how to catch up and become part of the elite in this game, quote unquote, is going to be largely hidden behind deceptive offers, questionable mechanics, and downright just a lack of guidance to help you get the gear you need to progress. And with 3-year-old bottlenecks in the game, the frustration mechanics are something that just literally are hard to overcome. So we're going to talk about one other thing about this, and I got to say this. I mean, from a game, I think when you're at the end game, some of the challenges are fun. Like the challenges are fun when you get in here and you're able to accomplish something with your roster at the end game. But the problem is, we just talked about it, is getting there. But the game is beautiful. And I'm going to say that this is I turn my graphics off to be able to stream, only so they don't get choppy. But the game is beautiful. And the problem with that is twofold, right? The game is beautiful, but when you're playing the game, while it's at its top mechanics here, it literally is, it is absolutely beyond frustrating that you're not going to get the performance out of it. And we're going to talk about that in a second here, because hopefully I can demonstrate something that's happening with the graphics. Think about this. In order to shave out time so I don't time out on nodes, I had to drop my graphics down. So one of the big features about this game is that it's beautifully rendered. And then the biggest drawback is the performance suffers so much that if you're trying to do a challenging game mode, you're unable to do so without turning the same thing that is a value proposition all the way down. And for me, that seems counterintuitive. That means that somebody didn't understand the basics of what had to happen to make a phenomenal game. And so, yeah, I mean, we're going to pick a lot on the game here from this perspective. But again, when you get to the end game, you'll see that there is some excitement and some fun in those regards. Now, we're going to talk about something else that I think is fun. Is they've done a really good job capturing some of the spirit of the heroes and villains in the Marvel Universe. The fact that these characters largely only have 4 abilities, and some of these characters have such a rich history, that the fact that you're able to play these characters and to feel like the power that they have in the comics is interesting. Now, they don't always get that right, and we're going to talk about something. Right? This game did something that no other game that I played has done right in a long time. Cough, cough, Outriders. They don't nerf characters. Now, we'll talk about that in a second. They don't nerf characters. Characters that are powerful on release stay powerful for a long time. Instead of instead of taking something like the speed up and the slow value that they had initially had in the game and making it something that was a lot less conducive for everyone playing the game, they went back and they said, you know what, that's against the spirit of the game. We're not going to do it. And so that is a huge deal in that you're realistically not seeing characters that are just, you know, suddenly diminished in value because they decided that they didn't want an ability to work the way it did. However, the problem we have is a bigger problem. And that comes down to the fact that we never exactly sure how an ability should work. And we're going to talk about a couple of scenarios here. So one thing that happened was there was a character by the name of Vision. In case you haven't heard of him, he's been featured in WandaVision, great TV show. Selfless plug for the show here. And he was largely very, very powerful. And the problem was his ability was doing something that it wasn't intended to do. And so what happened was they went back and they changed the text. But we have a lot of characters here that the text just doesn't accurately represent what's happening in game. And this is actually one of my biggest problems with this game is an attention to detail that is non-existent. I'm sorry, but Jubilee has been out for 2 months now, and you haven't updated the tooltip. You haven't thought it important enough to showcase that this level 7 ability increases the speed bar by another 10 or 15%, making it 25. You haven't gone back and adjusted Phoenix so that the proper way that she works, according to the JSON files, isn't actually represented. And the only reason why we figured this out is because you made G14 so insanely powerful that we started to hit these numbers. This 50,000% is actually 50,000. We knew this because we started hitting, you know, Colossi, yeah, whatever, the plural of Colossus, where it wasn't dispelling the buffs, so we had a big deal. So we just didn't know if it was working correctly. And so this is kind of an interesting problem. And it was most recently encountered with the Dad Bros. The Dad Bros on their assists were getting way too much speed, more than intended, and it took a while to respond to that. They were quote unquote nerfed, but it was because they were working in a way that was unintended. Probably a little bit too powerful on a team that's probably still one of the apex teams in the game in all different game modes, depending on which content creator you talk to. That being said, I think that another reason to play this game is when you're having fun, you're having lots of fun. I have oftentimes spent times with my alliance where I've gotten to know 23 people very, very intimately. And that's the thing that they built, is realistically an environment where if all 23 people are working together towards a common goal, alliance management, alliance tools, all these things need to come to the game sooner than later. But it can be some of the most fun I've had playing with a team reminiscent of the early days of WoW, right? I'm not even joking. The element of teamwork that's required to accomplish some of these tasks is not something that's, you know, especially as you get towards the end game, it's not something that is for the faint of heart. It's going to take time, energy, but you can have some fun doing it. But the problem becomes, right, is, and we'll see if we can get this to showcase it here. I'm going to try to do this raid. If I got to the bio node, it would be easier. Another reason to not play this game is just bugs. All right, bugs that take away from how a team's supposed to function. One of the biggest bugs that you encounter are things that we call ghost buffs or residual buffs or debuffs that literally are showcasing some of the more frustration type mechanics, because this has been around for way too long. And by the way, it was included in the patch notes that said that they were addressing residual buffs or duplicate buffs happening, and it just hasn't happened fast enough. All right? So things like that, performance issues like crashes, these are things that haven't been addressed quickly enough. So let's give you, for instance, we're in Alliance War. Everybody's using their Silver Surfer, who's probably one of the best offense characters, on defense, because we're not sure if a team's losing because they're crashing because of the ult, or because of the fact that they can't overcome the defense. Now, I have had limited number of crashes. I use BlueStacks 4 instead of BlueStacks 5, or whatever version they're on. And I've had to bring my graphics value all the way down. I haven't experienced too many crashes, although I will say it happened once upon release. And so this is a big deal. The level of bugs in this game, well, really bug me. I'm sorry, I had to do the bad pun. I'm known for them, so hope you click the like if you like that bad pun. But at the end of the day, you could have a beautiful game that's fun to play with a group of friends, all right? That's relatively free to play friendly. And overall, features a storyline that's interesting, an evolving storyline that's interesting, although they do a terrible job of letting you revisit it. There's an overarching story here in Marvel Strike Force, but there's no way to revisit it. But all the reasons to play this game are overshadowed by any one of those reasons not to. If I bought a game on Steam, I would have probably refunded it back to Steam a long time ago if it had the level of bugs and the issues I faced in Marvel Strike Force. Instead, I largely spend to overcome bugs in these games. I've had to spend to buy more energy to overcome a raid. I've had to buy more cores to overcome event issues. We most recently just had an issue with the multiple man event. They gave out the wrong orbs on launch. And this is just a litany of issues that happen on a daily basis. I would be more concerned at this point if this game didn't have bugs. And the last reason why you may not want to play this game comes down to the fact that it often feels bad. All right? So how could a game both be fun and feel bad? Well, I'm hoping they give some attention to real-time arena soon. I was hoping that they'd have some more attention coming up this season. The fact that we're seeing, I don't know, some horrible matchmaking, we're going to see what happens when I bring my Shadowlands in here. Sometimes I see teams as low-powered as level 1 characters. Sometimes I see amazingly overpowered teams, but for the most part, it's relatively disappointing. Oh, we're fighting Myth. And so this game mode is interesting, but the rewards aren't justifying the amount of time that you're going to spend, although the value is there from a reason to buy these passes. And that's one of the things we talked about, is there realistically was a bunch of... Oh, I sped them up too fast. There realistically was a bunch of problems with the game early on. And they remain unaddressed. And this game mode is largely just unfun. Because what happens here is they made objectives that are just realistically such a difference between what one person can do and one person cannot do. The rosters are so varying, it took away a lot of the competitive nature of it. And in fact, most times you're just going to want to hit quit battle and hopefully it takes over. And so the problem is when you get to real-time arena, it doesn't feel like a competitive PvP mode. It feels like just a slog fest. And unfortunately, the wide variety of bans, all the different things that are happening, they just haven't made it so that the reward is worth the time spent in there. G15 is great, but unlocking these game modes, a lot of people, especially Krakens, have oftentimes just thrown cores at it to avoid having to do it, perpetuating the problem that is these battle passes. So much so, here we go, so much so that they've probably moved battle passes on here. This is actually an interesting comp here. We're going to put it on auto to see how we do. Anyway, that being said, for as good of a game as they produced, the problems far outweigh the good things in this game. And so, at the end of the day, I can't advise my friends, family, or anybody else to play this game where they have to endure the same frustration mechanics that I have. And so, I'm hoping they can address this sooner than later so that we can ultimately see this game's full potential unleashed. Because for the most part, if this game didn't have the daily bugs, we'd probably have a lot more fun. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, I do things so you don't have to, and my clock's ticking. They've got till the end of April to fix some of this stuff, or I'm out.